In this episode, we look at the new edge in bodybuilding, peptides, also known as Wolverine molecules because of their dramatic effect on both muscle growth and repair. We're going to look at what a peptide is, what it does, how it's different from human growth hormone and steroids, how it's given, the side effects, and the legality of it. So hold on to your seat, here we go. Part 1. What is a peptide? Well, let me explain it with Lego. If you eat a steak or egg, the smallest building block that will result from your digestion is called an amino acid. And they come in slightly different shapes and forms. When you combine several of these building blocks into a chain, you get a peptide. If you link more than 50 amino acids, then you can build very complex structures called proteins. Now, you are already familiar with peptides like collagen and creatine, sort of. But what scientists discovered is that peptides aren't only for building, some of them are messengers. And within these set of messengers, these mad scientists discovered some that can hijack your pituitary gland here and tell it to release more of your natural human growth hormone. This human growth hormone then leaves here and tells your liver to produce more IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor. And this hormone is responsible for muscle growth and cell repair and fat breakdown for energy. So you get fitter and less fat. What's not to like? Part 2. How do peptides work? Well, in bodybuilding, we focus primarily on two of those messengers. Number 1, human growth secretagogues. These include peptides like sermorelin, CJC 1295, and ipamorelin. So instead of injecting synthetic human growth hormone into your body, these peptides signal your own pituitary gland to release its natural stores of human growth hormone. This leads to better fat metabolism and deeper and faster recovery from injury. The second type of messengers are repair peptides. These are compounds like BPC 157 and TB 500. These don't build big muscles directly. Instead, they stimulate angiogenesis, the growth of new blood vessels that bring oxygen and nutrients to white tissues like tendons and ligaments that usually heal very slowly. So for example, if you had tennis elbow from overuse with a racket, taking this second group of peptides would help that injury to heal faster by bringing more food and nutrition to the area through blood. Part 3. How are peptides given? Peptides are given as subcutaneous injections, usually in the tummy area, with insulin needles like this. The reason they're not tablets is that your stomach acid would break them down just like an egg or a steak. Because they're relatively delicate, they arrive as freeze-dried powders like this one and have to be reconstituted with sterile water to use. Once mixed, they're highly sensitive to both heat and light, so they have to be kept in your fridge in an opaque container, and they will last about 3 to 4 weeks once reconstituted. Part 4. What is a stack? Well, bodybuilders will often talk about stacks that combine different peptides. To understand why, you have to look at the two main engines that drive human growth hormone release: GHRHs and GHRPs. GHRH, or growth hormone releasing hormones, are a signal that tell your pituitary gland just how much growth hormone to produce. They create a slow, steady trickle, drip, drip, drip. GHRP, growth hormone releasing peptides, create a trigger to the pituitary to release a flood of hormone in a massive burst, also called a pulse. They also block another hormone called somatostatin, a hormone that usually acts as the brakes on growth hormone production. Examples would include ipamorelin, GHRP2, and GHRP6. Then there's an interesting one, BPC 157, which stands for Body Protection Compound. Also known as the Wolverine peptide, is famous for injury repair rather than stimulating direct muscle growth. How it works is through angiogenesis. It triggers the growth of new blood vessels, which is critical because tendons and ligaments naturally have poor blood flow. And that's the reason they heal slowly once they're torn. It also helps with soft tissue repair. It speeds up the healing of nagging injuries like golfer's elbow and tennis elbow and bicep tendonitis, and even things like ACL tears in the knee. So an example stack could be, for example, BPC 157, 250 to 500 micrograms twice daily for 4 to 8 weeks. Stacked with ipamorelin, 200 to 300 micrograms at night on an empty stomach for 3 to 6 months. Part 5. Risks and safety. Now, one difference with steroids and human growth hormone is that they're exogenous, which means they come from outside of your body. When you take them, your body detects that hormone levels are suspiciously too high and shuts down its own natural production. This is why you have to have cycles and post-cycle therapy to recover. Peptides like ipamorelin are secretagogues. They don't replace your hormones. They nudge your pituitary gland to release more of its own natural growth hormone. Because it's your body's own hormone, the system usually does not shut down. That doesn't mean they're risk-free. The first risk is a quality gap. Because many of these peptides are sold as research chemicals, they bypass the safety checks of regulatory bodies like the FDA. If you don't know how to read a certificate of analysis, you have no way of knowing if your vial contains heavy metals, toxins, or even if it's what it's supposed to be. The second problem is metabolic costs. Common side effects with peptides are water retention and edema, especially with the GHRPs. You might notice that your socks leave a deep indentation in your ankles, or tight feeling in your hands and numbness in your fingers from carpal tunnel from the median nerve being compressed due to fluid pressing on your nerves. Second one is GH flush. Immediately after injecting GHRHs like CJC 1295, you may feel a wave of heat in your face and chest and a slight headache. This usually lasts for about 10 to 20 minutes. And then number 3, specific to GHRP6 and GHRP2, you can get extreme hunger. That's because they mimic the hunger hormone ghrelin. It can be so intense that it leads to binge eating, which can ruin a bodybuilding diet. Now for the really serious risks, the main one is insulin sensitivity issues. Constant levels of high growth hormone can cause the body to become less sensitive to insulin. Over time, this can lead to elevated blood glucose and in extreme cases, type 2 diabetes. So one tip is that many users of peptides will check their fasting blood glucose every morning with a finger prick monitor. And if their sugars are starting to read high, back off. Another serious issue can be prolactin hormone and cortisol spikes. The older peptides like GHRP2 and GHRP6 can accidentally trigger the release of prolactin from your brain, which can then cause gynecomastia, breast tissue growth, and kill off your libido. They can also cause spikes in cortisol, which is your stress hormone. This is why ipamorelin is preferred because it's selective and avoids both of those. And a third serious consequence from sourcing your peptides from dodgy suppliers is immune responses. If your peptide is very low quality or it hasn't been kept at room temperature and started to degrade, your body might recognize the chemical as a foreign invader and develop antibodies against it. This can make the peptides stop working entirely or cause a rash and allergy symptoms. So how can you reduce your risk? Well, you should test your natural baseline glucose and IGF-1 before starting your cycle and monitor it during the cycle. Also, start low. Begin with the minimum effective dose to see how your heart rate and blood pressure react. And always take them on an empty stomach, even though they're an injection. Never ignore this. If you eat a bowl of cereal and then inject ipamorelin 10 minutes later, you will have largely wasted your money because the carbs cause an insulin release and spike, and the insulin inhibits the release of growth hormone from your brain. So you want your blood sugar to be as low as tolerable when the peptide hits your head. And the final safety margin is cycle off. Do not run GH secretagogues indefinitely. 2 common cycles would be 5 days on, 2 days off to give your pituitary a break, or 12 weeks on and 4 weeks off to give your axis a break. Part 6, the legal realities. At the time of filming, in the US, there's a research chemical loophole making it legal to sell and possess these peptides for laboratory research only. Wink, wink. So federal law typically does not criminalize individual possession of these peptides. Canada. Health Canada views almost all injectable peptides as unauthorized prescription drugs. Illegal to import these into Canada, even for personal use without a prescription from a Canadian doctor. And since they're not authorized for use, finding a doctor to prescribe them is going to be impossible. Canada's Border Services Agency is also very aggressive with research chemical packages. Seizures are very common, and warning letters are often sent to your address. In the United Kingdom, most bodybuilding peptides are classified as prescription-only medicines. It's generally not a criminal offense to possess them for personal use, but it's illegal to supply or sell them without a pharmacy license. The UK's Medicine and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency frequently intercepts peptide shipments and confiscates them. For the rest of the world, you'd need to check with your border agency. For part 7, we look at how are peptides different from anabolic steroids. Well, over 6 months, a male can expect about 8 pounds of lean muscle mass, unlike the 20 pounds you might expect with an anabolic steroid stack at non-heroic doses. But the difference is that with peptides, it's keepable muscle. Unlike the rapid bloat of some steroids that disappears once you stop, the slow, steady gains from peptides tends to stay with you because they were built by the body's natural but enhanced pathways. Another important advantage of peptides are improved body composition, less fat, healing of nagging injuries, and high quality muscle. And without all the extensive list of side effects noted with anabolic steroids, ranging from facial bloat, to breast development, to testicular atrophy, to liver damage, and the list goes on and on and on with anabolics. So where does that leave us? Peptides are not a shortcut for a poor diet, lack of sleep, or poor effort in the gym. If you are considering this path, do not do it in the shadows of the black market where you don't know what you're getting in the mail. Go a longevity or hormone optimization clinic and work with a doctor there who can track your IGF-1 and your blood sugar levels and pull you away from danger if you start falling into the pit. Thank you for watching, and you're welcome.